Good evening, everyone, and those who are at Tushita, and good evening, everyone online. These days, I think we have most people online because of the weather. No, the traffic is quite challenging. But here we have someone, it's very inspiring, someone who came all the way from Gurgaon. Very good. So welcome to this new series of meditations. So this is a little bit different from what we traditionally do, as this series of meditations is completely secular, meaning that all religious dogma is completely taken out. It was inspired by actually one of the kings of Tibet in the 7th century, but it's part of the Foundation for the Development of Compassion and Wisdom that is affiliated with the FPMT, the Foundation for the Preservation of the Mahayana Tradition, which Tushita is part of. It's a network of about 130 centers, projects, and services around the world. Tushita is one of them. But the FDCW, the Foundation for the Development of Compassion and Wisdom, is a totally secular, totally non-religious branch of the FPMT. So many years ago, they launched these 16 guidelines based on what this king, established for his people. Let me read a little bit about the background of this. So, good evening. So it was King Songtsen Gangpo in the 7th century Tibet who wrote this ethical code, actually to inspire his people. And these 16 guidelines, they played a crucial part in transforming the Tibet back then from a warlike nation into a civilized nation that is renowned, for its peace and serenity and harmony. So the 16 guidelines are a modern presentation of this ancient wisdom, but without, as I was saying, any religious dogma, totally secular. So this is a pilot project. It's actually the first time that these meditations are happening, but the 16 guidelines have been around for many, many years. Actually, there is a book that you can read, and there are courses that you can join in different places around the world, as well as online on the FDCW website. You can join the 16 guideline course, which goes very deep into the 16 guidelines. So here, for the next 16 weeks, we'll explore each one of these guidelines. So every week we'll have a different one. Today, the first one we'll explore is humility. So we'll explore humility. We can discuss a little bit about among ourselves as well, and those online as well will be able to exchange a little bit before the meditation, what ideas we have about humility, and after the meditation, whatever the meditation, we can discuss post the meditation, whatever effect the meditation had on us. So each session will be around 1 hour and will be divided into different times. So the first 5 minutes will introduce a little bit the session. Then for about 10 minutes, we will try to settle down. We'll do a placement meditation so that, we arrive here at Tushita on the cushion, and those online, we arrive in front of our device, and relax and prepare the mind before analyzing the topic. Then we will introduce the topic and discuss a little bit among ourselves, our ideas about the topic. Then finally, we'll have the meditation for about maybe 15 minutes, where I'll be sharing the material from the FDCW, and we'll explore, in our mind. It will be analytical meditation, in a form of analytical meditation. And then finally, some feedback we can exchange a little bit, especially as this is a pilot series of meditations. There were a few centers that volunteered to start with these meditations, and it will be officially launched next year, actually in 2025, after the feedback from the pilot meditations happened. So we can start with a settling meditation. So we'll start with a body scan. This can help to release the physical tensions that are stored in the body. The in-breath is used to draw attention to a specific area of the body, and the out-breath is used to relax and release any tension that is held there. Relaxation of both body and mind is central to the practice of meditation. The starting point is to notice your posture. Posture is very important when doing meditation because of the close connection that there is between the body and the mind. So sit in a comfortable posture that allows your body to be still and relaxed. This helps your mind to be still and relaxed as well. If you're sitting on a chair, you can try to place your knees a few inches apart and your feet both flat on the floor. It's best also not to lean against the support of the chair and not to lean too much forward either. And then if you're sitting on the floor, you can simply sit cross-legged. Make sure you're comfortable, not pushing your body. You can rest your hands on your knees, palms down, or in your lap, or palms up, whichever is more comfortable. The back should be naturally upright, but not stiff. You can imagine there is a string pulling from the crown of your head, keeping your back upright, but at the same time, you are loosely upright. The arms and shoulders should actually be relaxed. You can drop your chin slightly forward so that the neck stretches a little and it relaxes it. You can gaze gently downwards in a way that avoids visual distractions. Or if you prefer, you can lightly close your eyes. Now that you are comfortably seated, turn your attention to the breath as it enters and leaves the body. Start by taking 3 long, slow breaths, allowing the air to enter deeply so that the chest and stomach rise and fall with each breath. Now simply observe your breath and its natural rhythm as it enters and leaves the body. You don't need to do anything to change or control the breath, just observe it. Now we will do the body scan, and it starts by focusing your attention at the top of your head. It might help you to visualize a small circular area of about 4 inches in diameter. See if you can feel a complete sense of relaxation in this area, the top of your head. Allow this sense of relaxation to extend down below the actual surface of the head. Gently and slowly imagine this area enlarging until it covers the entire top of your head. Feel how the skin and the hair and the entire top of the head become completely relaxed. As you breathe in, gently strengthen your focus of attention. As you breathe out, gently let go of any tension you might observe. This zone of relaxation then expands to the left side of the head, including the ear, and it slowly expands to the back of the head, and then to the right of the head, including the right ear. Take your time and allowing this to happen. Now, feel the relaxation flowing down over the forehead, relaxing the muscles of the eyes, the nose, the cheeks, and the rest of the face, including the mouth and jaw. Also relax the internal path of the mouth, the internal part of the mouth. Rest here for a moment with the sensation that your entire head is completely relaxed, inside and out. As you breathe in, gently focus your attention. As you breathe out, gently let go of any tension you observe. Next, allow this sense of relaxation to travel gently down through the throat and neck. And then to the left shoulder, traveling down the arm, passing through the elbow to the wrist, and then onto the tips of the fingers. As you breathe in, gently focus your attention. As you breathe out, gently let go of any tension you might observe. When you have reached the tips of the fingers, pause for a moment. See if the left arm feels any different from the right arm. Now, allow the feeling of relaxation to travel down your right shoulder, down the arm, passing through the elbow to the wrist and then down to the tips of the fingers. Then allow this relaxation to expand down your spine. First, spreading to the left upper side of your back, and then to the right side. Then it spreads down to the lower part of your back, first to the left side and then to the right side. When you have completed this, turn your attention back to the front of your body and allow the chest to relax. Relax the diaphragm. Move downwards to relax the abdomen and the internal organs. Then relax your hips, Take your time in allowing this to happen. Pause for a moment to enjoy this feeling of relaxation in your entire body, upper body, inside and out. As you breathe in, gently focus your attention. As you breathe out, gently let go of any tension you observe. Allow this sense of relaxation to move down into the left leg, traveling through the thigh, to the knee, and the calf and the ankle, and then right down to the tips of your toes. Take your time allowing this to happen. When you have reached the tips of your toes, pause for a moment and see, does the left leg feel any different from the right leg? Then let the feeling of relaxation travel down your right leg through the thigh, to the knee, to the calf and the ankle, and then right down to the hips of the toes. And now observe your entire body. Is it completely relaxed? Use your in-breath to notice any tension you might still be feeling anywhere in your body. And then on the out-breath, let this tension go naturally. Don't struggle with it, don't force it. Simply let it leave on your out-breath. Let it go. Now that we have settled our minds a little, let us ask ourselves, why am I here for this session? Is my motivation for self or for others? Is it for the benefit of the few or the many? Is it for now, today, or for the future? Explore how it feels to broaden your motivation to include the happiness of others. For instance, you can think, I would like this session to be meaningful and beneficial, to bring lasting happiness for myself and others. As you focus on this, feel it resonate through your body and mind. So for those who joined late, we basically just did a body scan to relax the body and mind, starting from the top of the head to the tip of the toe, gradually going down trying to notice any tension in the body. With the in-breath, we notice. With the out-breath, we try to release it. So you can do this quickly. And then seeing, why did we come here today? Is it only for ourselves or for the benefit of others as well? Is it only for the benefit of today or also considering the future? We're just trying to broaden our motivation, our intention. Then to conclude this first part of the meditation, now you can relax your posture and take a moment to notice and enjoy any sense of harmony and ease that this practice might have brought to your body and mind. So now we will look into the topic for today, which is humility. I'll just repeat some basic information for those who join late. So this is a little bit unusual if you are used to come to Tushita and meditate here, because this series of meditations that we are starting today for the next 16 weeks are actually from the Foundation for the Development of Compassion and Wisdom, which is a secular branch of the FPMT. The FPMT is the Foundation for the Preservation of the Mahayana Tradition, which Tushita is part of. So it has about 130 centers and projects around the world. Tushita is one, and the FDCW, Foundation for the Development of Compassion and Wisdom, is the secular branch, the non-religious branch of the FPMT. So the 16 guidelines that we will explore together, they are basically, inner qualities that we are trying to develop. So, what is meditation? Why are we meditating? Because it can be used to strengthen, the qualities that we each already possess, to make them stronger. There are many different kinds of meditation. And so during this session, we do two kinds. The first one we did is a stabilising meditation, to quieten the mind, to settle the mind so that we are more focused, we are more present for the analytical meditation, which is the second one we will do now. So an analytical meditation is also a guided practice where we examine a topic in different ways, with different approaches. So we'll quickly introduce the topic of humility, and then we can discuss a little bit about humility among ourselves as well as online. And then we'll do the analytical meditation as such. So please bear with me. I'm, using this material for the first time, from the FDCW. It's also a pilot series of meditations. So humility is the attitude of experiencing the world and what it contains with wonder and awe. It is about seeing ourselves as a small part of a vast cosmos inhabited by people and creatures from whom we can learn. Humility is a quiet strength. In some cultures, it is considered quite normal to be loud and assertive about what we think and what we want. Yet, there is something dignified about people who are sincerely humble. Even if they are prominent and successful, they have the wisdom and experience to understand their limitations. A person with humility can see beyond their own viewpoint and interests. Humility shifts our perspective from me to others, and it is delighted to do so. Humility doesn't get in the way of achieving personal success. It is a quiet strength that can bring respect and a power to influence others. It is an attitude which experiences life with wonder, accepts that we are a small part of the world and can learn from everyone. Without a humble outlook, we lose the ability to listen, so we can miss opportunities to learn from those with whom we interact. We feel superior, proud, or self-important, and we stagnate. It can be very subtle. So how can humility contribute to happiness? How is our humility when we talk, when we walk into a room full of people? When we enter a room that is crowded, we have a choice. We can be anxious, wonder how to behave, who to speak to, and focus on how we want others to perceive us. You could say this is a here I am approach, or we can be soft and flexible, need nothing from anyone, and have genuine interest in those who are there. You could say that this is a there you are approach. So I would like to know from everybody who is here and online, we have also a lot of people. I will give you the possibility to unmute yourselves. I would like for us to exchange a little bit before we do the analytical meditation. What is your experience of humility? What is also your understanding of humility? Please feel free to speak up, and on Zoom, feel free to unmute yourself. Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Personal experience on humility.
Yes.
I think I should shift here so that you can see.
Sure.
It's been very, I think it depends a lot on who you are dealing with. For example, in daily culture, especially North Indian culture, what I found is amongst my own people, humility is a lot of times seen as a sign of weakness. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. If you are polite and giving the way and acceptance, someone feels that they are basically stronger than you. For a number of years I lived in Japan. Their humility is part of tradition. It was reverse. I stayed there for about 3.5 years.
Just 1 second. Can you hear online? Those who have the video on, can you give me a... Oh, Tempa cannot hear, but Ellen can hear. Okay, most people cannot hear. Very softly. So let me just repeat, just paraphrase what you have said. So, oh, you can come closer so they will hear you, yeah. So while you come, I'll just paraphrase what you said, but yeah, please come closer in the meantime. So you were saying that in Indian culture, for example, it can be seen as a sign of weakness to be humble.
Yes.
Whilst in other cultures, for example, in Japan, where he lived for a few years, it is seen as a strength. It's part of the culture, right?
It's the reverse. So it's a very personal experience from my own personal experience. A lot on how you look at it. When I traveled, when I was backpacking in USA, again, some people thought it as, especially the educated elite, saw it as a very positive thing. But then you also felt that if you are trying to be humble, then other people feel you're inferior. Same in Europe, in Belgium or in England, it's all varies. But in North India, where we are, generally when you come out and be outwardly humble, it's seen generally as a weakness. This is my personal experience.
Could you hear online? Yes, okay.
Yes.
Yes, way better now. Thank you.
Anybody else would like to share their experience or understanding of humility? Yes, please speak up. You can unmute yourself. Yeah.
May I say something?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I just, whenever we see somebody who is very accomplished or successful and, famous, and we always admire those who are humble along in spite of being famous and successful. They come across as humble and not self-effacing and always boasting about themselves and their achievements. I think I admire, and a lot of other people also always say, he's so great but yet so humble, and that is such a lovely quality. So it makes him much more open for us to approach. As soon as somebody is boasting about themselves, it kind of puts you off. You don't, I know you're successful, but you don't have to talk about it all the time. And they're much more approachable when he's humble and not talking about himself all the time and is open to what you have to ask.
It's interesting because she's North Indian, no?
But as I said, it depends.
It depends, right?
Also, the person, there's no absolute truth.
Right, no
Like
absolute
Bhagavan
truth.
said,
Yes,
it's
yes.
all relative.
Yes. Anybody else? Yes. Can you come closer so people online can also hear you? If you don't mind.
So as she said that when
And you need to come much closer because your voice is quite low.
so what I'm saying is that as she said that when accomplished people are very humble, that like feels great. Also what I have seen is that sometimes when you are humble, certain people try to walk all over you. So I think there needs to be a balance between that you're humble yet you are polite and assertive. So yes. But yeah, it feels great to be around humble people.
Chavila, please don't wait for me to call your names. You can just go ahead and talk.
Thanks, Nicola. I wanted to say something on the first comment that was said about how sometimes people don't really look up on the characteristic of humility. Um, and actually, I also have felt that, especially being a woman in India, people actually tend to not see you if you don't speak up, and especially about yourself, what you have done so far. I do feel that.
Venerable Tempa,
Hello. Okay.
hello?
Hello.
Yes.
Yes. Can you hear me clearly?
Not very clearly, no.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I'm using my earbuds. Can you hear me now? This was.
You are not audible. Sorry. Anybody else? Ajayji.
I just wanted to raise a question. How do we understand humility? How do we really define that to understand that before we really move to why we should have that? Because particularly from the Buddhist perspective, I'm very sure Tsongkhapa Gampa must have really studied Buddhism because he had the access to all the teachers at that time. So how do we really understand? How do we define humility so that we are very clear, yes, this is what humility is? Because right from yesterday when I got this, I was really trying to understand. I could not really come to this conclusion, yes, this is what humility is. One can talk different characteristics. Some people saying that it should need to have self-awareness, it should be free of arrogance, okay, it is more inclusive, the people giving that if there is no humility, one can't really be on the path of the growth because he doesn't learn, because he's close. Example given is like the top of the mountain, even if the rain falls, it doesn't hold rain, it's the valley. So it's almost like saying that the humility is like the valley which can really hold something of the life. But opposite to that is not giving the life, holding the life. So I would be very interested, how do we understand this humility? How do we define that? Can we have a right perspective of that? Then maybe we could move to why we should have. What difference does it make in life? And then how do we access to that?
Well, you know, in the Tibetan tradition, they always like to give the advantages before explaining what it is, right? So to tease you and to, you know, make you interested, they give the advantages first. But here you will see when I will guide the analytical meditation, they say that humility can be defined as the willingness and ability to learn from others. This is the basic definition that they give. They say that the root of the word humble comes from the Latin word for ground. Being humble involves being realistic and down to earth. It means being comfortable with who we are as human beings. So there will be more more different ways to look at humility in the meditation, and also we'll try to experience it for ourselves. How do we relate to humble people? How do we relate to people who are more arrogant and so forth? Yeah. Anybody else would like to share something about humility? Yes, please.
Could you repeat that sentence again?
Oh, yes.
How it is defined?
So here in the meditation, they say it can be defined as the willingness and ability to learn from others. Yes, please.
My Indian classical music teacher, who was a famous performer who played around the world, told me the lower you bow, the further you will go. And that's true in life. If you're arrogant and boastful, you will create people who are envious or jealous of you or dislike you.
Piano teacher.
Music teacher. Sarod.
Sarod?
Yeah. Sarod is a string instrument.
String instrument. So from his Sarod teacher, he was saying that the lower you bow, you know, out of respect from someone, I guess, the further you will go, right? Yeah.
Yes. Example.
I see.
What we're like.
Venerable Tempa would like to try again?
Hi, sorry, I've
And
taken
now
up
we can
my
hear you.
mic, but maybe it's better, right?
Yes.
So yeah, I wanted to say something which was kind of related to what the gentleman there was saying just after my attempt. Was just for me, it's like I also have a little bit of uncertainty about like what is humility, and it seems that like for me there's like some conflict between like being confident or having like strong self-esteem, and then at the same time as having that, which are important qualities to have, then how to behave with that in a way that's that shows humility. I don't know what other people think about that. They want to contribute.
Yes, actually I have a teacher who says it's important, you know, to know your value, to have self-confidence, but at the same time not be proud, you know, be humble about it. Otherwise, it's true what the introduction was saying is that we don't learn from others if we are arrogant and we think we know everything, right? But at the same time, if we don't have self-confidence, then it's difficult to, you know, to accomplish what we are supposed to accomplish.
sort of meaning?
Yeah, that's what I think,
mean,
actually.
someone who I think, I mean, there's many examples of people with good humble qualities. For example, Kapche Lamas of Rinpoche, one person who comes to mind, who who always showed humility despite his great qualities and his ability to kind of command like an audience or a congregation of people with his teachings, and not be shy to share the knowledge and wisdom that he has, but also not he never would give the sense that the focus of attention was on him, but he would but he had this skillful way of, uh, of, of still at the same time being that center of attention, in expressing the the teaching that he wanted to express.
Could you hear at the back? Sorry, next time I'll bring a speaker or something so we can hear better. So basically, Venerable Tempa was talking about Lama Zopa Rinpoche, who, despite, his incredible, extraordinary qualities, was so humble, and down to earth. Okay, I think we can go ahead and do the analytical meditation now. We'll have more time to exchange after the meditation, especially about the meditation itself, how it felt to go through this meditation. So I'll just make sure we are all muted again while we do the meditation. Okay. So again, find a conducive posture for the meditation. You can rest your hands on your knees, palms down or up, or you can also rest them on your lap, whichever is more comfortable. The back should be naturally upright, but not stiff. The arms and shoulders should be relaxed. You can drop your chin slightly downward so that the neck stretches a little and relaxes. Gaze gently downwards in a way that avoids visual distractions. Or if you prefer, you can lightly close your eyes. Now that you are comfortably seated, turn your attention to the breath as it enters and leaves the body. Start by taking 3 long, slow breaths. Allow the air to enter deeply so that the chest and stomach rise and fall with each breath. Now let us explore what is humility and how do we relate to it. So humility is a quality often overlooked in modern life. In modern life, we often emphasize external possessions and accomplishments. In modern life, humility isn't talked about a great deal many of us may be confused about what humility actually means. Is being humble a sign of strength or a sign of weakness? Does being humble bring success in life, or does it get in the way of achieving our goals? Can humility bring us happiness? Humility can be defined as the willingness and ability to learn from others. When we are humble, we are open to others. The root of the word humble comes from the Latin word for ground. Being humble involves being realistic and down to earth. It means being comfortable with who we are as human beings. When we are humble, instead of grounding our sense of self-worth in things like a large salary or a particular body image or the number of friends we have on Facebook, we see and accept our strength and limitations without being judgmental. Humility can make us more at ease with ourselves. We can be less defensive and more present for others. Humility gently shifts our perspective away from a narrow and sifting focus on me, and allow us to acknowledge our interconnectedness with the people and the planet that sustains us. Let us explore what humility means to you. Bring to mind someone in your life who you consider to be a humble person. It could be a member of your family, or somebody you know at work, or a friend. Consider what makes that person a bit different. What special qualities do they possess? How does their humility affect the people around them? What does it feel like when you are in their company? Now consider someone else who you associate with pride and arrogance. Again, it could be someone in your family or somebody from work or a friend who has a lot of pride and arrogance in your eyes. Pride and arrogance don't just mean having a sense of confidence or being able to feel happy about successes, but instead involve an uptight and superior attitude of thinking that we are better than others in some ways. So bring to mind a person who you associate with pride and arrogance. What is it like to be with them? Perhaps they show their pride and arrogance in their body posture. Do they show it in their conversation? How does their pride and arrogance affect the people around them? One of the problems with pride and arrogance is that they encourage us to think we have nothing to learn from the people around us or from the experiences that life brings our way. As a result, pride makes it harder for us to develop and grow. It can feed a misleading sense of independence, that we are doing just fine as we are and don't need anything from anybody else. Underpinning pride and arrogance is a powerful, solid self-image or ego that fails to take into account how much our thoughts, ideas, preferences, relationships and activities may change from year to year and even from minute to minute. It fails to see our dependence on others for everything in our life. For example, think back to when you were a child. What were you like? What were you like back then? What are you thinking about? What are your interests, your likes and dislikes, your hopes and fears? What are you enthusiastic about as a young child? Are you learning new skills, having fresh experiences and discovering more about the world? Now move on to the present time. What are you thinking about? What are your interests, your likes, dislikes, hopes, fears? Do you still have things to learn? Finally, make a jump into the future. What are your interests, your likes, dislikes, hopes and fears? Are you still learning new skills, having fresh experiences, and discovering more about the world? By looking back at how we have developed over the years, we can appreciate our life as a journey that constantly offers fresh landscapes, new challenges and opportunities. It can also help us realize how easy it is to get trapped in an unchanging, static, and sometimes demoralizing, unhelpful view of who we are. However much we feel that the me of today is exactly the same as the me of last year, it isn't, and it logically cannot be. The image of a permanent self is misleading us. Having the humility to accept that we are constantly growing and changing from the moment of birth until death is liberating. It can help us to be more open and accepting our strengths and weaknesses and have the opportunity to learn from them. This will also make us more open and accepting of the strengths and weaknesses of others. We give ourselves permission to explore what kind of person we want to be and how to find happiness and meaning in life. As Nelson Mandela said, the first thing is to be honest with yourself. You can never have an impact on society if you have not changed yourself. May the practice of humility enrich your life and the lives of the people around you. So you can gently come out of the meditation. And again, we'll have some time to share and exchange what arose from the meditation. And I'm also looking for feedback about the meditation and the structure, as we will have 16 sessions, and then this program will be happening in different centers around the world. So anything you want to share, please speak up. Yes, please.
There's a quote about the value of a stop clock. The stop clock tells the correct time twice a day. Stop clock.
Stop clock.
Clock that is not running. It's able to tell the time twice a day. Correct time.
Could you hear online? A stopped clock gives the time twice a day. Anything that arose during the meditation? Yes?
Can I share some thoughts? First of all, Nico, thanks for taking this up. I was very excited to see the 16 series. Just a quick feedback. I like the duration because I am not one of those very, meditators who can meditate for long. So I don't know if you have to send it back. Like, I found the duration good enough for me to sustain. Some thoughts that came to my mind from the initial discussion and also from the meditation is that I think humility is also a collective culture that we build, because nations are made of these very individuals who have this humility, and had nations had humility, just to ensure that I don't politicize the issue here, I won't call out the nations. We won't have the chaos that we are having in the Middle East and others, where people have this pride, this imperial pride that we can go and destroy. So I think it's very important to have this. And for me, sometimes, since I work with different cultural groups, it's very exhausting that I'm from Southeast Asia, and in Global South we use we very frequently, and immediately it blows to Global North. Everything has to be I. And so I think it's nice to build up this collective. Just that thought came up to my mind, that nations should have humility as well, to learn and listen, especially in policies.
Thank you so much. Could you hear online? So, would you mind coming closer and paraphrasing what you just said?
Yes. Sorry, I'll try and make it brief. Is it audible now?
Can you hear? Yes.
Okay. I was just giving a feedback that the duration was very good, and me not being a meditator who can meditate for long, it was comprehensive, and I could sustain my meditation. So one thing that came to my mind when I was meditating from the initial discussions and from what Nicola shared is that humility is also something that we as individuals build as a collective culture, and then it becomes something that reflects as a nation. So I was just saying that if nations had humility, we would not have the chaos that we are having right now in the Middle East, without naming specific countries. Also, I've often felt working with people from different countries and culture that since I'm from the Global South, I have a habit of always writing in we because I work in communication and in global north. I have to shift myself like, I, and it becomes very uncomfortable for me. So I think if we develop this as a universal value, that nations would also, reflect humility and humility in their policies, to listen to the people who are affected and just not impose what they think is right out of pride. So I think it's a very important value that we should develop.
It's actually the first, of the 16 guidelines, because it's so important, I think. Humility. Without humility, how can we develop other qualities? It seems difficult, no? Yeah. Anybody else, Ajirji?
One is that during the meditation, the definition of the humility is, what was really given was that willingness and ability to learn from others. I think if that is really the criteria, I could see myself that I'm not humble. I mean, I could see that very clearly. That is one. For me, it was like a mirror showing. And the second is that I really like the etymological explanation of the word humble from the Latin is being grounded. And then what Nelson Mandela has said, that to be honest with oneself. So I really thought that is really the ground probably which this humility can really take. And if I see from that perspective, I find that I'm not really honest to my own self also. I think that's a really showing myself. And the thirdly, this question came, like when we read Bodhicharya, the first is really the generosity, and the explanation is given that it's very easy to correlate and identify with the generosity rather than going to the wisdom and all. So here also, this thought came in my mind: is there any explanation why the Samten Gempo he started with the humility? Is there any logical explanation given? I think that will really give us a very strong background. And the next point is, yes, I think the pace of the meditation I really like. It was very smooth. The words were very clear, and one could reflect from the perspective of in that pace. Yeah.
I think Ajirji is being very humble, saying he's not humble. Yeah, I don't have the answer to your question why Songtsen Gampo chose humility as the first. My idea that I was saying is that, it's 16 qualities that we try to develop. If we are not open to develop our qualities, if we are not humble, it seems difficult, but I will try to find, because there is a whole book, of the 16 guidelines, and there is a whole online course as well. I'll try to find the answer and share next week, yeah. Let me just, online, there is a Venerable Tempa, because we have been sharing a lot here. Yes, Venerable Tempa, please.
Yeah, sorry, I don't mean to take away from anyone else who has something also important to say. I just, it was interesting when you read out the descriptions about, or the commentary about humility from your notes there, that in the modern world, that humility isn't something that's focused on much or mentioned about much. And I think what I was thinking before you'd said that, just kind of analyzing that, it seems that from maybe more like a Western kind of culture, this idea of humility is something that isn't focused on or talked about so much. If you look at like Western culture, it's all about having like some like kind of image and ego. When I think of like Asian people, and there's something I noticed most when I came to Asia first was that Asian people definitely have a more humble kind of approach and a more naturally humble attitude in general, just generally speaking, and that I guess that comes from this background, cultural background of humility being something that is seen as a good value to have, and that maybe in the Western countries, it's not seen as something that will get you far in life, since it's not attributed to necessarily success and accomplishment of material things, which is what success is kind of underpinned as being, which I think is something that we definitely have to question. But I also am curious to see what people have to say about if what you also have to say, or the 16 guidelines have to say about how we can cultivate humility, if it's something that we can train or contrive, or if it's something that comes naturally through cultivation of other qualities.
Yes, actually, if you are interested, to really develop these 16 qualities, because here we'll have about 1 hour per week, we'll very superficially go through them in an analytical meditation and discussion. But if you want to go deeper, please go to the FDCW website, the Foundation for the Development of Compassion and Wisdom. And there, you can learn much, much more about the different values. And yes, I agree that in general, I feel in Asia, people are more humble than in the West. But I also see sometimes, especially as he was saying in North India, some people who are very successful in life, then the moment they will introduce themselves, they will, straight up say, this is my name and this is what I have achieved in my life, the first few seconds you meet them. So I find that very interesting, actually, because in the West, I don't think we would do that. But yet, in general, in Asia, people are much more humble than in the West. Please, Manjari, I will come back to you in just a second.
So there is something that you said in the opening statement was going from here I am as to here you are. I really appreciated the session. I can't comment on the structure, I have not been to many. But one thing for sure is that, as the gentleman said, we usually hear the words and create our own perception. Here at least we get the opportunity to reflect on that, create a better understanding, and then take probably a slightly more mature judgment. What I came down to as a conclusion up to this point, which I'm sure is not the right thing, but it's just the next step. I personally struggle with humility a lot. I can acknowledge it very consciously because it's something that I've been working consciously on. But during this course activity, I felt the biggest hindrance to humility, even more than being inquisitive about opening about how to learn from others, is a sense of pride which one carries and develops rather. And in my opinion, there's two thoughts that cross my mind I'd like to share and maybe take feedback on that also. Is if the pride can be converted, not just converted, realized for what it is, as gratitude, as being able to, because of a lot of factors coming together, for whatever do I or you or anybody else will conceive as success, being a byproduct of a lot of things coming together for us, and just converted that into gratitude. And at the same time, the sense of realization that behind the body, everybody is same. It's just the same energy behind the body. So how can one energy be greater than the other? Easy to say, hard to follow.
Thank you very much. Manjari ji, please.
Thank you, Nicola. The thought that I've been trying to grapple with for a long time is how being self-deprecating. So, in order not to be an inflated ego, or to come across as being all puffed up, there's the danger of being self-deprecating. And as I've been listening to you and others talk about humility and being humble, and certainly during the meditation, I was wondering where that line is in myself, because I certainly have this tendency for being self-deprecating, of saying no, really, I'm whatever, somebody gives a compliment and I sort of pull away. And so I'm just offering that. As something to consider, especially in a context, certainly in Buddha Dharma, where we are walking along a particular path where we are trying to bring our egos in check. And I also just wanted to acknowledge what Shavila spoke about earlier, about the contextual aspects of humility, or the dangers, quote, dangers of humility, where being female in certain contexts can make it very hard, especially if you're a young woman or younger woman, and in certain contexts have to assert yourself. So I'm sort of throwing a lot of disparate things in here, but but largely the issue of self-deprecating and humility, for me, that's an issue. So.
Thank you very much, Manjari ji. We'll conclude because we're a little bit over time. We'll have a short secular dedication. And so next week the session will be on Monday. Actually, over the next 4 months, mostly these sessions will be on Mondays, because usually we have our Tuesday sessions for the pujas. But it's just that yesterday was, in the lunar calendar, was the day of Medicine Buddha. That's why we did Medicine Buddha yesterday and this meditation here today. But most of the time, these 16 guidelines meditations will be on Monday. And next week, we'll talk about patience. Patience, which is very useful to counteract anger or hatred or irritation and all these, disturbing states of mind. So we can dedicate the positive energy that we have accumulated here and our increased understanding from this session. So we can dedicate this positive energy and understanding to those who are ill, mentally or physically, for them to have good health. We can also dedicate for those who are hungry or thirsty to have food and drink. To those who are harmed by violence, war, or conflict, for them to be at peace. We can dedicate for those who don't have a home to be warm and safe. We can dedicate for those who are challenged with loneliness, disharmony, or financial pressures, for them to end their worries and increase their happiness. And finally, we can think how wonderful it would be if everyone here in the room, everyone on Zoom, everyone in the country, and in the entire world were to reach their full potential. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. Have a good evening, a good night, and we'll see you tomorrow morning for the daily meditation at 9 a.m. So Monday to Friday, we have the morning session online on Zoom. And this week, we are also introducing some in-person sessions, Mondays and Thursdays at 9 a.m. As well as online. It's always online, whatever happens. Then this weekend, we have sessions on Saturday and Sunday. Saturday at 11:30, we have Deepesh Thakkar, who will talk about the 4 seals of the Buddha's teachings and how to find genuine happiness, in a modern times. Then on Sunday, we'll have an open discussion with Lokesh Jindal about the law of cause and effect, about karma. So this is promising to be a very interesting discussion, since, it's one of the very hidden phenomenon that only the omniscient mind, the mind of a Buddha, can fully understand all the, aspects and details. So please join us. On Sunday, this will be at 11, Saturday, 11:30 a.m. Online, same link, and in person, same room. See you. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you, Nico.